sprach von Liebe, die Mutter gar von ihm. Das Mädchen sprach von Liebe, die Mutter gar von ihm.
This is my interpretation of the poetry that Wilhelm Müller wrote for Franz Schubert's Winterreise. And I attempted to update it and get rid of that turgid romanticism or romantic vein. And I wanted to actually tap into that anger and energy and passion. So the first song is Good Night. And this is my translation. A stranger I came, a stranger I go. May bloomed all over me with bunches of flowers. She spoke of love. Her mother even intimated marriage. No more. It's a dark world, snow-covered with gray skies. I didn't choose this, but I have to find my way through this. I am accompanied by the dark side of the moon and a single deer, whose only evidence is its hoofprints in the snow. It would be humiliating to hang around until someone drove me away. Listen to your lovers, your stray dogs howling outside your door. Love wanders by necessity, as you did from me. Good night, angel. I don't want to disturb your dreams. Ha! I don't want to wake you. Ha! You won't hear me leave, bitch. Softly, softly, I close the door, and on your gate I write, Good night, as I leave, so that you may have some inkling of the pain you caused me, you motherfucking cunt.
I think that captures it quite well.
Well, there is such anger that I think that a whole sheen of the Romantics refused to acknowledge. And it had to be almost politically correctly shown. You know, you had to read between the lines. And I think Gute Nacht is an angry opening.
Absolutely.
I don't like it taken down tempo. I don't like it taken softly. I don't like anything except to have that anger vented from the get-go. And there you have it.
Yeah, it's I think very sarcastic. I was thinking about this earlier today. One of the challenges of the cycle is very present from the very beginning. Is there are incredibly beautiful moments. This person was deeply in love and has lost that love, and that love remains. It's not only, it's not only ash at this point. It's still very fresh in his heart. So there's this constant struggle between bitterness and memories of how beautiful it was. And there's this constant struggle throughout the cycle. And in this, in the major section, I think it's the third refrain, all of a sudden it's major, and that sort of comes out to shine. But then the bitterness creeps back in. So it's kind of like, there's always been a lot of talk about how Schubert switches from major to minor all the time, and how that's sort of one of the most indicative things about Schubert is this constant flux between major and minor. And this cycle is very reflective of that, because you're constantly going into all these zones where you are earnest and you are in love, but at the same time you begin to sneer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's very close together. And walking that line of real emotion and recognizing how one feels. But at the same time, all these darker emotions are also mixed in, and it's an interesting mix.
Yeah, and one thing that I actually don't know how much singers look at this as an overall cycle, or that what gets me is like the first 5 or 6 numbers are just a straight vent. Yeah, and which makes sense. When we all break up, what's the first thing we do? Yeah, motherfucking bitch. Yeah, we don't sit there and you don't go. You don't hang up the phone when he's said, "Honey, I can't do this anymore," and I don't go fetal in my bed at first. I throw every dish I have at the house, against my wall. I get very angry, and I think Schubert's captured that really well in the first six. Is it six? First six numbers up until Linden Tree. All it is a straight vent of anger.
Yeah. Linden Tree is number 5, so it's
five.
The
first four are just a straight vent.
Right. Although there is some regret in number 3 that we'll get to, and I think it's also interesting that in the entire cycle, really, this is the only straight strophic lead that you have in the entire cycle. And so much of what Schubert has written before is strophic, but I think it's also reflective of how and this may be intended by Schubert or not, I don't know, but how constrained by society this young lover was, and he's still trying to conform to society as he goes out the door. He's trying to do the right thing. In fact, he writes, I've written "Good night" on the door so that you'll know that I've thought of you. And obviously, there's that undertone of "you fucking bitch."
Yeah.
But he's still trying to do it in the
either that or it's just passive aggressive.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
certainly, but he's using the formulas of how one is supposed to go about these things.
Yeah.
He's doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And so and that's also reflected in the structure of the song, the fact that it's strophic and it's the way lead were written.
Yeah. Okay. And I think if one doesn't, as I feel we have done, if one doesn't get underneath that and say, okay, that's passive aggressive. What's he really getting at? How can I bring out the real raw emotion of this? If you don't do that, it's a dead work.
Absolutely, and to me, it's one of the most difficult works. I think we've really got it down now, but it was certainly one of the ones I think we struggled with most, or certainly I've struggled with most, because it can be just god awful boring, and you're launching into this hour and 20-minute long cycle, and if that first one is Deadwood, forget about it. I mean,
and I think the first one was I think we wrestled with that one most before it really did click, and for me it clicked because all I did was think about what's the first thing I do when there's a breakup. Well, I'm sorry, maybe it's because I'm Mediterranean, but I don't think goodbye, I'm not going to disturb you. I have a fucking tantrum.
Right.
And
that's reflected.
I think that's what has to come out. That's human nature. It's not just Mediterranean.
Sprach von Liebe Nacht.